Hello everyone, this is Damon with Pixnub Software. For this video, I'm going to be demonstrating how you can quickly build a team composite like this in just a few clicks with the Easy Team Builder Photoshop plugin. This is very simple to use. The only thing you need is a folder full of cutout images, and there are some settings that you can use to configure how the team builds, and it's really quite flexible. For this, I'm just going to use the defaults with the exception of the player scaling because they're football images, so I want to reduce that scaling a bit so their shoulder pads don't overlap quite as much. And then with the rows, you can use as many or as few rows as you want, and you can also adjust the number per row. So you have complete control of that. I'm just going to hit continue and we'll watch it build. Alright, it finished in 3 minutes and 36 seconds, which is actually about a minute longer than normal, but the screen recording software is slowing it down a bit. And so it looks really good. And what it does by default is it will group the rows by height, and it will place the tallest people in the back and the shortest people in the front. And it also groups the rows and then puts each player into their own layer. And so this makes it really handy. So if you want to move an entire row, for example, and then you can also rearrange individual players if you want to change the position of the players. So very flexible with that. And remember in the beginning of the video when I mentioned it, there was some settings you can use to adjust how it builds the team. I have just a few examples here. Let me go to the beginning here. So this is the default, and by default it will decrease the sizes of the rows as you go back just a little bit. And if you look at the perspective scaling off, this is where it doesn't decrease the size per row. We've got max perspective scaling, and this is the maximum amount per row it will decrease as it goes back, and you can go anywhere in between the minimum and the maximum, or you can have it off, or there's 7 different levels of perspective scaling. And in this example, there's more spacing between the players, and this is one of the options that you have. And here is where I adjusted the number per row and just had it build 3 rows, and it automatically fits these onto the canvas for you. So that's one cool thing about it. You don't have to worry about fitting them all on. It will do that for you. And here is 7 rows just by changing the number per row. In this example, there was 2 things I did. The first is I told it to align by face instead of by feet, because you notice the other images are all aligned by the bottom of the feet. But there's also the option to align by face, or you can align between the face and the feet. It's a scale of 0 to 100. So if you align by face, you can see their feet are no longer aligned, but you would use this build if you were going to put graphics in front. And this just gives you a nice clean look where all the faces are the same height. The second thing I did in this example is this did not group by height. I told this to arrange by file name, which is one of the options, and then I named the files by jersey number, which will put them in order by jersey number, left to right, bottom to top, which I know a lot of photographers like to do that. In this example, the coaches are on the top, and there's an option to automatically place images to the top by using the word top in the file name. And the same thing here, coaches on the bottom. You can put bottom in the file name. It will automatically force those images to the bottom. Then in this example, there is reduced spacing between rows, so you can see it's a lot more compressed. In the next example, there's increased spacing between rows, so there's a lot more spacing between the rows. And these are just a few examples of things you can configure, and they certainly don't cover all of the adjustments that can be made. Like I say, it's very flexible for how this builds. Anyways, thanks for watching, and if you're interested at all in this software, please be sure to visit our website, that is pixnub.com.